Alright, so one day I was sitting down on the couch, punching my little brother repeatedly with a giant Italian ham sandwich, when all of a sudden I got a knock at the door. I immediately moonwalked all the way over to the door and proceeded to open it up. Turns out it was a giant fluffy kitty cat with abs the size of Arnold Schwarzenegger's credit score. It scared the hell out of me. I immediately pulled out a chainsaw and cut him up into bits and pieces. There was so much highly realistic gore all over the place it made me poop my pants. Anyway, while I was in the process of sitting there and murdering this individual who looked like Arnold Schwarzenegger, oh wait, never mind, he was a cat, but yeah, whatever, I sat there and I saw a tape. Yeah, I know, it's weird, right? You see a random VHS tape dug inside of someone's stomach. Anyway, I sat there and I reached into the creamy, delicious, chocolatey, crunchy gore and ripped it out of his stomach area. I mean, the guy was already dead anyway, so it's not like it hurt him. And turns out it was a lost episode VHS tape. This VHS tape really scared the living shit out of me. Why is that? Well, turns out I have a phobia for VHS tapes. But not only that, but I also have a phobia for white title cards, which exactly was what this was. Wait, that made absolutely no sense. Oh well, who the fuck cares? I immediately slammed the door on the dead body, which caused blood, gore, and ruptured organ tissue to fly all over the place. Man, it looks so good. I wanted to cannibalize him so damn badly, but I knew I had to watch this tape first. I immediately looked at the tape, and I saw that it was a lost episode of the Gumball. Gumballs. I immediately ran over to my Gumball-shaped TV thing, whatever the fuck it was, and I proceeded to punch it repeatedly, which caused it to cry. It then immediately said to me in a very sad tone, "Why you do this to me? It hurts so much. Please stop, it hurts so much." But I didn't give a flying fuck. I immediately grabbed the gumball machine and threw it on the ground, shattering it into a million pieces. Gumballs went all over the place. I then proceeded to grab the corpse of what was now once my amazingly alive gumball machine and then proceeded to throw it at my television and then throw the tape at it. The tape started up, but it didn't start up like normal. Oh no 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 no. It sure as fuck didn't do that. Instead, it opened up with what looked to be Jim Carrey punching himself repeatedly in the balls. It was so extremely arousing that I grabbed an entire canister of chocolate milk and glugged it down repeatedly. Then the episode started up. Turns out the entire episode was called Gumball Murders Darwin with a Cheese Grater. Wait, that didn't make any flying sense. I mean, what the living fucking shit-ass cocks was I sitting there and looking at? Everybody knows that every episode of The Amazing World of Gumball starts with the, so why exactly was this not the case? I would have honestly went out of my way and contacted the mysterious Mr. Enter and probably had him go out of his way and deconstruct the concept of this tape, but I was extremely bored and didn't feel like contacting him because I had him on a blacklist for whatever fucking reason. So yeah, the tape started up with Gumball sitting there and punching the television repeatedly over and over and over again because apparently it didn't order Domino's pizza for him. Darwin then immediately walked down the stairs. He looked extremely hyper-realistically angry. In fact, he looked so damn angry that horns were growing out of his head. It scared the living fuck out of me. It scared me out so much that I grabbed my box of Oreos that I'd been saving for Kwanzaa and proceeded to smash them on the ground repeatedly and then proceed to shoot them with a minigun. It was a lot of fun doing so, but my little brother wound up seeing this, and he started crying violently. He cried so much that hyper-realistic blood started pouring out of his eyeballs. I was extremely angry, so I grabbed that same sandwich that I used to beat my little brother with. Wait a second, do I have a second brother? I guess so. And proceeded to beat him to death with it. Highly realistic vomit, gore, chocolate chip cookie dough, and like random bits of organs and severed limbs came out of him repeatedly. I didn't think much of it, so I immediately went back to watching the tape. Gumball then proceeded to pull out the same sandwich that I had used. This didn't make any sense. How the fuck did he manage to get out of the damn TV and grab the sandwich and use it to kill Darwin with? But yeah, he wound up killing Darwin and then proceeded to drag him into the kitchen. He then pulled out a knife and began cutting him up into delicious sushi pieces. He then wrapped him up in some nori and some sticky rice and served it with soy sauce and wasabi. He gave it to his family, who didn't really seem to give a flying fuck. Unfortunately, Richard seemed to understand and realize that he wasn't so much eating a thing of delicious sushi. He was actually eating his son, Darwin. Richard immediately screamed and began vomiting out blood, chunks of brown meat, chunks of blue meat, chunks of green meat, chunks of chocolatey chip cookie dough mix, and then chunks of chocolate meat. How the fuck was that even possible? I didn't know. I was so scared I immediately grabbed a knife and began stabbing my little brother repeatedly. Yeah, you know how I said earlier that I had a second brother? Well, turns out, yeah, I did. I stabbed him repeatedly out of fear, causing him to die instantly. And then it cut to Gumball sitting there and slapping Penny repeatedly across the face. Turns out that she was having an existential crisis and was in the process of wondering whether or not if she could have Domino's Pizza or Pizza Hut for dinner that night. Gumball's eyes then became extremely satanically, demonically, hyper-realistically, bloody, demonically, oh wait, I already said that, evil. And then he proceeded to sit there and take out a giant chainsaw and cut Penny in half, and then proceeded to eat her insides, which turns out she was actually made of peanut butter. Delicious, tasty, sweet peanut butter. Sorry about that. Anyway, Gumball then proceeded to become extremely angry and had hyper-realistic eyes, and he started killing everybody in Elmore City. He sat there and he did it so much. He kept stabbing and stabbing. He even used a chainsaw to cut up his neighbor, who I literally can't remember at the moment. But it was so genuinely terrifying. My mom came in and saw my dead brother and proceeded to scream. She then vomited out cookie dough, which caused me to get really, really angry because I actually have a deep-seated hatred for cookie dough. Which, if that was the case... Anyway, I proceeded to immediately grab a squirt gun full of Jell-O and proceeded to shoot it at her. She actually had an extremely high intolerance to Jell-O, and she melted into the floor like the Wicked Witch of the West. Anyway, I continued on with the tape. Gumball then immediately killed everybody, like I said earlier, because honestly, who the fuck gives a shit about the whole plot and concept of this godforsaken story? And then, afterwards, something genuinely terrifying happened. Drew Pickles. Oh wait, sorry, wrong video. I have another text box open. Anyway, all of a sudden, Caillou came onto the screen. He looked extremely angry at Gumball for murdering everybody. I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I mean, talk about the crossover of a century, although why the fuck was it Caillou? It made no sense. Gumball and Caillou then proceeded to sit there and fight to the death. And of course, obviously, the bald little cancer fuck wound up dying at the end. He began crying for his mommy, and then Gumball did the one thing that I think everybody wanted to have happen. He proceeded to grab a chisel and broke his head open. Turns out that he actually didn't have a brain in there, but instead it was a delicious, juicy watermelon. Gumball proceeded to eat it with extremely evil, satanic, bloody, demonic fucking glee. And then afterwards, another thing happened. The tape immediately popped out of the Gumball VHS tape thingy and proceeded to dance to... what the fuck was he dancing to? I didn't exactly understand. It didn't seem like any kind of dance, so I just assumed it was a satanic Illuminati dance, and I proceeded to pull out my minigun again and proceeded to shoot it repeatedly. And then I took a dump on it, and then I sat there and I shot it again, then took another dump on it, and then I shot it again and then took one more dump on it before immediately taking it out to my fire pit in the backyard and burning it to a juicy, sexy crisp. I sat there and I watched the entirety of the tape burn like a Christmas ham. Christmas ham, so good. After that, the cops came and arrested me. I was later put into a sexy mental asylum with a bunch of random people there. I think I even saw the Planters Peanut guy sitting there and getting injected with a various amount of mental drugs of sorts. It made absolutely no sense to me, but then again, I was in a nut house. What the fuck did I expect? And then afterwards, I became extremely angry again. I then immediately pulled out a lighter and burned everything down to the ground. It was absolutely beautiful watching the sounds of people burning to death, screaming, dying, and jumping out of the window hyper-realistically to try and escape, only to realize that I had filled the entirety of the water that surrounded the area like a moat with delicious chocolate pudding. They immediately drowned in the pudding, because turns out you can't really swim in pudding. I immediately went back to my house, which is now covered in crime tape, and then proceeded to sit there and burn my house down, although only halfway, because honestly, who the fuck gives a shit about the house? And then afterwards, I got a knock at the door. I opened it up, fully expecting it to be the cops coming in to beat my ass with a nightstick. However, it wasn't that. It was Gumball Watterson. Gumball looked at me. He looked extremely sad. In fact, he was so sad that he had a mixture of tears, blood, and Coca-Cola pouring down his face at a heavy rate. He then said to me, "Why did you not watch my sweet, delicious tape?" I didn't know exactly what to say. I said, "Dude, are you honestly serious right now? I literally watched this damn tape. I even murdered my entire family because of it." "What do you want from me, gum-boiled egg? What do you want from me?" I said, crying. Gumball immediately stopped crying and then proceeded to look at me. He then immediately pulled out a wiffle bat and proceeded to beat me to death. I wound up dying afterwards, and if you're probably wondering how in the hell I managed to write this a beautifully wonderful, godlike, crafted story, well, that's actually really easy to answer. I'm in hell, burning repeatedly. I'm actually a very spooky, scary skeleton, sitting there and typing this up. And as my last warning to all of you, remember, Kinder eggs are illegal. If you buy them, you will very likely have the FBI come by and crack down your door because they think that you're some kind of psychopath. Yeah, that's a lesson for the day, everybody. And with that, goodbye. Because I have absolutely nothing more to say. Why did I make this?
In fear and surprise as your eyes widen, your mouth goes dry with each battered breath. You try to scream, your mind begs to leave, glued to your computer screen. The killers they slash, the tapes burn and crash. The cartridge you bought will be your final haunt. The rituals of hate will seal your fate. The tears you shed will be from the fear-gripping, horror-driven, nightmarish, gore-filled, terrorizing, hateful, burning, violent, rage-inducing, knife-slashing, blood-splattering, silent screams. Only time will tell if you will escape this online hell. Your horror-filled obsessions will come with its own regressions. Your pathetic screams will not be heeded in any way, because your nightmares will come at any day.